Well, at this time of the year, everybody's got a resolution or two as a new year is pretty much upon us. So what about financial resolutions? Let's bring in Rob Tetrault of Canaccord Genuity. So what are some... That's making me laugh. What are some financial resolutions people should consider in 2025?
Well, first off, last trading day of the year, it's going to be a short day, usually very low volume on December 31st. So don't expect much movement today in the market. But for financial resolutions, Clay, I think let's start with a budget. I know it sounds boring and I sound like your mom or your dad right now, but start by creating a budget, knowing where your dollars go, and then figuring out, are you able to pay yourself first? If you're able to pay yourself first, then those funds can go somewhere, right? Whether it's 10% of your monthly paycheck or 5 or 15, some sort of amount that you could pay yourself first. If you can't, if you got aggressive debt, start by paying down the highest costly debt. If you got credit card debt, start there. If you got lines of credit, the bigger amount of debt you can pay off on your credit card at the highest rate, obviously that's much more beneficial. So line up your debt on your balance sheet, start at the top, and make a plan for that. So budget, maybe an emergency fund, and obviously consider and pay down that debt.
Well, everybody's gung-ho about resolutions. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to quit smoking. Same thing could happen here, Rob. How do you stick to a budget because you got temptation? Oh, I'll worry about the budget later. This looks like a real good deal.
Okay, so I would say set specific measurable goals. Just like I did when I got in shape and started running, I set specific goals. I'm going to run 5K today. It was a specific, and eventually I want to run a half marathon. That was a specific goal that I set for myself, and I celebrated wins. When I got to run my first half marathon, I celebrated that. When I got my first marathon, I celebrated that. And I would suggest the same for financial goals. So whether you're trying to pay down that credit card debt, let's start with that. Okay, set specific goals for that. How are we going to do it? We're going to get an extra $100 or $200 a month. We're going to put it down towards there. Maybe it's saving money. You want to get X amount in your TFSA, or you want to maximize your TFSA contribution, or maybe you want to make sure you're getting your RSP contribution in time. Those are all specific goals that you can set. Maybe you automate your debt payment and automate your savings to stay consistent. And finally, celebrate those wins. Celebrate those small wins when you do reach them.
All right. And last but not least, any common mistakes to avoid when setting financial resolutions? I mean, you could set the bar way too high. And I think you pretty much answered that with, taking small steps, one day at a time sort of stuff.
I would agree with you, Clay. That's probably the biggest mistake that people make. They make way too ambitious goals. Like, I'm going to lose 50 pounds this month. Well, that's not going to happen, right? I'm going to clean up my diet tomorrow. Well, that's also not going to happen. So just like in the financial world, set reasonable, measurable, and not too ambitious goals. Realistic, right? Unrealistic goals, they lead to burnout. So obviously don't neglect your retirement savings by simply focusing on short-term goals. So you got to balance that. So maybe some in your RSP and some in your TFSA. And here's the biggest one, Clay. Stop comparing yourself to others. Right? The Joneses can do what they want. Do not compare yourself to Joneses. You don't have to keep up with the Joneses. Be you. You do you.